Anne Hathaway didn't just know Hugh Jackman. She knew his wife. She had dinner with Deborra-lee. She praised her on camera. She told Hugh to his face, "Someone like Deb is great for you," and then suggested a double date with their husbands. That was 2020. 2 years later, Anne was front row on opening night of The Music Man, watching Hugh perform with Sutton Foster. 13 months of that show, 8 shows a week. What sources later called Broadway's worst-kept secret. And in all that time, Anne never once picked up the phone and said, "Deb, you need to know something." She watched it happen. She had Deborra-lee's number, and she chose to protect Hugh instead. Before she was Hugh Jackman's wife, DeborraLeeFurness was her own person. She was an established Australian actress. She'd been in films. She had a career. She met Hugh in 1995 on a TV show called Corelli. She was 39. He was 26. Everyone told her it wouldn't work. The age gap, the industry, the fact that he was nobody at the time. She married him anyway. But here's what nobody talks about. As Hugh's career exploded, Deborra-lee's quietly disappeared. She went from working actress to supportive wife. She put her career on hold. She went through miscarriages and failed IVF. She and Hugh adopted 2 kids together, Oscar in 2000, Ava in 2005. For 27 years, Deborra-lee was there. Every premiere, every press tour, every awards show where Hugh called her my rock and my best friend. She was the woman standing next to the most charming man in Hollywood, smiling, supporting, believing, and people loved them for it. They were the couple everyone pointed to as proof that it could actually work. When other Hollywood marriages collapsed in months, Hugh and Deb were still standing, still holding hands on the red carpet, still making it look real, because it was real, at least for her. But here's what nobody was paying attention to. While everyone was watching Hugh, nobody was watching out for Deb. Not even the woman who called herself Deb's friend. Anne Hathaway first connected with Hugh in 2009 when he hosted the Oscars and pulled her on stage. They got genuinely close during Les Miserables in 2012, spending months together on a grueling shoot. But Anne didn't just bond with Hugh. She built a relationship with Deborra-lee too. And in Hollywood, that almost never happens. Usually, you're friends with one half of a couple. Anne was friends with both. How do we know this? Because in 2020, during a Variety Actors on Actors conversation, Anne told Hugh directly, "I think someone like Deb is great for you, because I think you guys complement each other." Then she suggested they set up a Zoom double date during lockdown. Her and Adam, Hugh and Deb, done, Hugh said. "I'll text you after this." That's not a casual acquaintance. That's a woman who cared about Deborra-lee as a person, who saw their marriage up close and admired it. And there's another layer to this. In 2008, Anne's life fell apart. Her boyfriend was arrested for a multi-million-dollar Vatican fraud scheme. The internet turned on her. Studios dropped her. She's publicly said that Hugh Jackman was the one person who stood by her during that time. She's thanked him in award speeches. So Anne owed Hugh. He saved her when nobody else would. That kind of debt runs deep. But it also means that when the time came to choose between protecting Hugh and protecting Deb, the debt won. And the time came sooner than anyone expected. February 10th, 2022, opening night of The Music Man on Broadway. Hugh Jackman starring as Professor Harold Hill. His co-star playing the love interest, Marion Sutton Foster. Now, look at who was in that audience. Anne Hathaway with her husband Adam Schulman, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, Sean Levy, Bradley Cooper, and Deborra-lee, who told reporters she'd kept the house quiet all day so Hugh could focus. Who walked that red carpet smiling, the way she'd done for 26 years. Blake Lively actually posed for photos with Deborra-lee that night. Everyone smiling, everyone celebrating Hugh. Nobody, apparently, thinking about what happens when 2 people share a stage, 8 shows a week for over a year. What followed was 373 performances over 13 months, 8 shows a week. Hugh and Sutton together, on that stage, night after night. And it wasn't just on stage. Foster told Vogue that Jackman had become one of my best friends, which was a surprise. Her daughter started calling him Uncle Hugh. They had a pre-show ritual they called a carpet chat, sitting on the floor of Sutton's dressing room before every performance. A source who later spoke to Us Weekly called what was happening Broadway's worst-kept secret. They said, a lot of people on Broadway knew. Anne Hathaway is a Broadway veteran. She's performed on that stage. She knows what a 13-month run with someone looks like. She knows what those backstage rituals turn into. She was in that opening night audience, sitting there while Deborra-lee smiled and clapped for her husband. The show closed January 15th, 2023. 8 months later, Hugh and Deborra-lee released a joint statement to People magazine announcing their separation after 27 years. And here's what happened next from Anne Hathaway, the woman who had Deborra-lee's phone number, who'd praised her on camera, who'd suggested double dates. Nothing, not a word, not publicly, not that anyone knows of. But Anne wasn't the only one who went quiet. When a 27-year marriage ends, you'd expect the couple's closest friends to at least acknowledge it. A statement, an Instagram post, something. From Anne Hathaway? Nothing. Ryan Reynolds? Nothing. Blake Lively? Nothing. Jake Gyllenhaal? Nothing. But watch what they did instead. Weeks after the separation, Reynolds and Lively were celebrating Jackman's 55th birthday at NYC's Polo Bar. They went to the Super Bowl together in February 2024, co-hosted Jimmy Kimmel Live in July 2024. They didn't go quiet. They picked a side. They just didn't say it out loud. Then came Deadpool and Wolverine. There's a line in the movie where Deadpool looks at Wolverine and says, "This is Logan. He's usually shirtless, but he's let himself go since the divorce." They put a joke about Hugh Jackman's real divorce in a Marvel movie that made $1.3 billion worldwide. Sean Levy confirmed to Variety that Reynolds improvised it and cleared it with Jackman on set. So the divorce was funny enough to joke about in front of the entire planet, but not important enough to call Deborra-lee about. Meanwhile, Hugh and Sutton kept moving forward. December 2023, In Touch Weekly reported a romantic connection. By October 2024, Foster had filed for divorce from her husband, Ted Griffin. 2 days later, Page Six ran a source saying Hugh and Sutton were 100% together and in love. January 6, 2025, People published photos of Jackman and Foster holding hands in Santa Monica. And through all of it, the only person from Hugh's world who said anything publicly was Gus Worland, his childhood friend from kindergarten in Sydney, a guy who's never walked a red carpet. He went on Australian radio in May 2025 and said, "He's fine, he's moving on with his life. That's it." One quote from the one friend who had nothing to lose by telling the truth. But the person who finally broke the silence, it wasn't any of Hugh's friends. For almost 2 years, Deborra-lee said almost nothing. She attended events in Australia. She focused on her kids. She told people she'd learned she's strong and resilient. She told Page Six the past year had been scary. After 27 years, after putting her career on hold, after the miscarriages, the IVF, the adoptions, the decades of standing next to a man the whole world adored, after being the woman who kept the house quiet so he could focus. When the first photos of Hugh and Sutton surfaced in January 2025, Deborra-lee was at the Australian Open with her daughter Ava. She told the Herald Sun she was in her Chapter 3, but then came May 27, 2025, days after filing for divorce, Deborra-lee released a statement, and every word mattered. "My heart and compassion goes out to everyone who has traversed the traumatic journey of betrayal. It's a profound wound that cuts deep. Betrayal, not growing apart. Not, we wanted different things. Betrayal." She didn't name Hugh, she didn't name Sutton, but she didn't have to. But the Daily Mail reported something that ties directly back to Anne and everyone else in that circle. A source close to Furness said that during the Music Man run, Deborra-lee was told the relationship between Hugh and Sutton wasn't true, that they were nothing more than close friends who worked together. But the source added, something in her heart told her that this was not true. Read that again. She was told to her face that nothing was happening. And the people around her, the people who were at that opening night, who saw the show, who heard the whispers, they let her believe the lie. Anne Hathaway praised this woman on camera, called her great for him, suggested double dates, and when Deborra-lee needed someone, anyone, to tell her the truth about her own marriage, Anne protected Hugh instead. Or maybe she didn't know. Maybe she never heard the whispers. But everything we know about how close she was to both of them makes that very hard to believe. Here's what makes this story hurt. In 2008, Anne Hathaway was the woman who needed someone to stand by her. Her boyfriend was a criminal. The public turned on her. Her career was dying. And one person was there for her, Hugh Jackman. He didn't calculate the risk. He didn't protect his image. He just showed up. Anne has said publicly that Hugh helped save her career, that he stood by her when nobody else would. So Anne knows exactly what it feels like to be the woman everyone abandons. She knows what it's like to need one person to just be honest with you, to not look away. And when Deborra-lee was that woman, when Deb was the one being lied to, being kept in the dark, watching her 27-year marriage unravel while everyone around her stayed quiet, Anne looked away. Not publicly, anyway. Not that we know of. The woman who knows better than anyone what it feels like to be abandoned chose to look the other way. We don't know what happened in private. Maybe Anne wrestled with it. Maybe she tried. Maybe the debt to Hugh was too heavy. But the public record is the public record. And Deborra-lee seems to have drawn her own conclusions. Radar Online and Women's Day Australia reported that Furness believed Ryan and Blake must have known about Sutton. If she believed that about Reynolds and Lively, imagine what she thinks about the woman who told her husband, "Someone like Deb is great for you," and then watched it all fall apart in silence. As of now, Hugh and Sutton are very much together. Red carpet at AFI Fest in October 2025. He posted her performing at Cafe Carlisle on Instagram in November 2025. The top comment on that post read, "Reminiscent of the praise you always heaped on Deb." The divorce was finalized in June 2025. Uncontested, terms agreed. Deborra-lee is rebuilding, Australia, New York. Her kids, her creative work. In her divorce statement, she wrote that returning to yourself and living within your own integrity, values, and boundaries is liberation and freedom. That's a woman who stopped waiting for anyone else to tell the truth on her behalf. The friend group has fractured. Life and Style reported the Reynolds-Gyllenhaal-Jackman trio is no longer what it was. The public trolling and Best Friends Day posts have gone quiet. And Anne? She hasn't been photographed with Hugh in over a year. No more variety interviews praising each other's spouses. No more double date suggestions. The only person who ever spoke up was Gus Worland, the kindergarten friend from Sydney. Not the Oscar winner who owed Hugh everything. Not the woman who praised Deb on camera. The guy who knew Hugh before Hollywood existed. Sometimes the people who actually care don't need a publicist to tell them what to say. Anne had Deborra-lee's number. She had her trust, and when it mattered most, she had nothing to say. If you want to see how another celebrity's friends watched a marriage collapse and did nothing, that video is on screen now.